We know he wasn't really running the
country.
Knowing what you know now, do you wish? Like you had a third term?
You know what?
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a frontman or frontwoman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement, in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that. We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto-penned. It's the art of deflection a-coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week.
In
the documents that we will be releasing later this week that point to the undeniable fact that you laid out in your introduction to this segment is that the intelligence community had one assessment that Russia did not have the intent or capability to try to impact the outcome of the U.S. election leading up to Election Day. Barack Obama's carefully crafted legacy didn't stand a chance once Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard stepped in swinging. They tear through the illusion with razor-sharp wit, exposing the contradictions, the chaos, and the carefully hidden cracks beneath the charm. Nothing escapes their savage breakdown. It's bold, brutal, and brilliantly unforgiving. A no-filter demolition of the myth that's been sold for years. If truth had fists, this is the knockout blow Obama never saw coming. You ever seen it? He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Blushes. Can I get some water?
I really did
need a glass of water. This is not a stunt. Usually, when something isn't a stunt, you have to say that it's 100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, "Can I get a glass of water?"
They
would never do that. They would have water ready for him. Wall Street started clapping when Obama walked into office, and by the time he left, they were laughing to the Cayman Islands. The guy who sold himself as the crusader against corruption somehow moonwalked into the role of elite whisper-in-chief, making billionaires blush with the kind of regulatory hugs that make lobbyists write poetry. And Joe Rogan didn't need a telescope to spot it. He needed only one glance at the financial orgy Obama presided over to ask the obvious. How does a community organizer become the CEO of the donor class in just 8 years? Fact, a lot of what they campaigned on they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers. I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws protecting whistleblowers, which they didn't do at all. There was one of the worst administrations for whistleblowers. I first joined the Democratic Party over 20 years ago. I was 21 years old, and what I saw back then was a party that still stood for free speech. That was a big open tent party that welcomed people with different ideas, different backgrounds, different religions, that stood up for civil liberties, that fought for everyday Americans. The party of the little guy. Fast forward to where we are today. That party is completely unrecognizable. Tulsi Gabbard wasn't far behind, smirking as she dissected the Hope and Change illusion with the precision of a political surgeon. The drone-happy Nobel Peace Prize winner who treated Whistleblowers like stray dogs at a golf course had the audacity to lecture the world on transparency. Transparency from a man whose administration practically vanished journalists into the void every time they asked a real question. When it came to sunlight being the best disinfectant, Obama acted like Dracula during allergy season.
Sunlight
Was never part of the plan. I left the Democratic Party because it is led by an elitist cabal of woke warmongers. They are driven by an insatiable greed for power, and they're willing to do whatever they deem is necessary, even the destruction of our freedom, to get what they want and to stay in power. This is the challenge and the threat. The man turned presidential photo ops into a cinematic universe, slow walking down the White House hallway like he was auditioning for a Nike ad while casually ordering drone strikes that made Xbox warfare look like child's play.
and
Don't forget the wedding parties, the funeral parades, all accidentally invited to American foreign policies. Most explosive surprise. One click, one flash, one innocent mistake, all followed by a press release so vague it might as well have been written by a magic 8-ball. Watch Chelsea Doward explain what most Americans are thinking. Vast majority of the Democrat elite in Washington in politics and the media still can't figure out why President Trump has the support that he has, and that no matter what they're throwing at him, it continues to grow, which just is a reflection of how completely out of touch they are with the people. They continue, as they did in 2016. They continue to see the American people as stupid. And Joe Rogan nearly popped a vein when he tore into that. Here was a guy who spent more time curating his Spotify playlist than investigating the blowback of turning the Middle East into a sandbox of rubble and broken trust. Obama promised diplomacy and dropped
bombs.
promised hope and delivered hashtags, promised the end of war, then casually extended it like a Netflix free trial nobody asked for. I think the best people age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man. Oh Lord, well, what's going on now?
Who's
Hollering? I can't even see it. Who really wanted to change the world? That dude aged more than anybody. I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear
that well?
I can't see that good. Trump, 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 just. This is something that he just brushed that off his shoulders like it was nothing. Chelsea, ever the realist, watched the man who once claimed to stand for peace flirt with World War II like it was a summer fling. Libya turned it into a failed state buffet where human trafficking got a second wind. Syria, a rebel roulette where half the weapons landed in the hands of people who thought democracy was a DJ at a wedding. They just bombed. And Iraq. He claimed he ended the war, then left just enough troops for the sequel, The Iraq Awakens, starring ISIS. And don't even bring up healthcare unless you want Rogan to go full meltdown. Obama gave Americans a health plan that required GoFundMe campaigns to cover paper cuts, then strutted out like he solved the meaning of life. Tulsi shook her head, watching that legacy being worshipped like a relic at a political museum. Meanwhile, the very real people he claimed to help were digging through bureaucratic. We know he wasn't really running the
Country.
Knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term?
You know what?
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that. We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even See those executive orders. That was all. Auto-penned. It's the art of deflection a-coming. From former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week.
In
The documents that we will be releasing later this week that point to the